we
Roy,
got
St.
every
Louis.
state. St. Louis, there we go. We got every state. Come on.
Michelle Kelly.
California's in the building. As soon as you get on.
Florida.
There you go. There you go. Florida, welcome.
Brandon V. Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Mexico, Brandon V. Welcome, welcome. All right. We got a couple more minutes before I bring up our millionaire mentor, trainer.
Ask everything you need.
Announce your name and where you're calling in from. We got a couple minutes.
Amanda, DMV.
Amanda, welcome. All right, everybody coming in.
Ignacio, this is Roberto from Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Roberto, Rancho Cucamonga. Welcome, brother.
Ignacio, it's John. I'm down here in Alabama, man.
What's up, my man? John, welcome. Always bringing the vibe. Always bringing the vibe. Yes, sir.
Felicia here from Arkansas.
All right, Felicia, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, all right, all right. I know our trainer said give him a couple minutes. So before we bring up tonight's millionaire mentor, I want you all, since majority of you are all within BYLD, right? I want you to make a decision right now. How many of you know the difference between hearing something and owning it? The difference between hearing something and owning it is what you decide to do with it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab a pen, grab a notebook, because tonight isn't just about listening. It's about capturing clues that can change the way you build. Now, let me ask you, if you know the next sentence could be worth thousands to your business, how closely would you lean in? If you could cut your learning curve in half, what would that be worth to you? And if all it took was catching the right word at the right time, are you willing to stay present for the next 30, 40, maybe even 60 minutes? So don't just take notes, right? Don't just take notes. Take notes as if you're writing the playbook for the person you're going to mentor tomorrow. Because the fastest way to grow is to teach what you learn. And who better to learn from than someone who came from the bottom of the bottom, one of the most ambitious, one of the most dominant, one of the most incredible individuals in all aspects. I'm not just saying in business, but just overall an incredible human being. Someone who I call brother, someone who is a great father, someone who I'm sure is a great husband. I'm taking notes on a daily basis, whether it's on Millionaire Mentorship, whether it's on seeing him across social media, interacting with his sons, and how he's leading by example, right? I believe in order to get what you want in life, you have to find someone who's already done it and who's willing to teach you those things in order to get it. But you got to be able to receive. You got to put away all distractions. Turn your camera on if you can turn your camera on, so you know that you are engaged. Because I'll tell you this, sometimes when I have my camera off, I'm doing other things and I'm not able to grab 100% of the information, because whoever thinks they can multitask, you cannot multitask. You're just doing something 70%, something 30%, something 20%. So I'm telling you, if you can turn your camera on, turn your camera on. If you can't, you can't. Grab a notebook, grab a pen, and make sure you're taking the most copious notes ever, as if you're writing the next book to train the next person. Now, I don't know if you're here right now, my man. JC,
Recording
are
in
you here?
progress.
Yes,
I'm
I
bringing
am.
up our president, Mr. JC Rangel.
Wow, thank you very much, Ignacio. I appreciate that very much. Kind introduction. And that was awesome. That was awesome. All right, Ignacio, thank you for all that you do.
I sent
Ladies
you
and
my
gentlemen,
Cash App already,
welcome.
too.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. And that was some very good advice, by the way, that you gave everybody, right? Multitasking is not a real thing, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, right? But I know I'm going to echo what Ignacio said. When I'm multitasking, I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not as productive. I'm not really learning. I'm not going to play myself. I'm not going to kid myself. So I highly recommend that you guys take copious notes and you guys are focused 100%. And once again, if you are able to turn on your camera, I'd greatly appreciate if you turn on your camera. So, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you guys put a number 1 in the chat? Put a 3 ones in the chat if you really want to, if you have a real commitment to becoming a better public speaker and better communicator, not just a public speaker, but better communicator, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is a Millionaire Mentor call. So in this one here, we like to teach different skills. And let me tell you something, being a better public speaker is a high paid skill. As a matter of fact, they've done studies of people's worst fears, and public speaking came above death itself. Okay. People will rate public speaking higher in their fear list than they will death itself, which is very interesting to me. I kind of understand it, but when you learn some things and the best way to learn how to be a public speaker is to get in front and try to public speak. But there are some tips that I'm going to give you here today on how to become a more effective public speaker. And I think all of you guys should strive to wanting to become a speaker. Especially those of you that want to make full-time income in this business or full-time income in general. The likelihood of you making more money, being a better communicator, being a better public speaker, your likelihood increases tremendously. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about public speaker masterclass. So let's get this started. So first of all, glossophobia. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Glossophobia, or the fear of public speaking, is one of the most common fears in the world. Some surveys indicate that it's even more common than the fear of death, okay, which is crazy, but that's true, right? So first of all, we want to talk about building your confidence, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you some tips to building your confidence with public speaking, okay? So the first tip that I'm going to give you is practicing your presentation. When you are new, you want to over-prepare, right? So for example, this very presentation, I haven't done this particular training in probably, I'm guessing about a year, maybe more, okay? Well, when it comes to public speaking, okay, even today, I was going through this presentation on my phone. I'm going through the slides. I'm making edits. I am building my confidence by going through and saying the things that the way I would have normally said them. And as I'm saying these things in my mind, I am jogging my memory. Oh, this is a good story to tell. This is a great example to give, etc. So practicing your presentation is something that's going to help build your confidence skills. Record your presentation. Give me one quick second. Record your presentation. I want you guys to do, here's some homework I'm going to give you. 5-minute presentation on who you are. I'm going to give all of you guys some homework right now. I'm going to give you the homework to do a 5-minute presentation explaining who you are, and I want you to record it. This is very important. For those of you that really want to become a better public speaker, this is what I want you to do. Okay? That's easy enough, right? Who you are. Okay? By the way, I had to walk outside to let my dog in. When we came in, my dog went out, so now I hear her barking outside. So the next one is this: memorize the slides in your presentation. This is such a helpful tip, and this is one of the biggest mistakes. One of the this particular tip, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the tips that made a significant difference for me. I was doing the presentation. This is, I don't know, 2008. I'm doing a presentation, and as I'm doing the presentation, I'm realizing, man, I should have really memorized some of these scripts. I should have really memorized some of these lines. And I remember it was a particular script that had a bunch of bullet points. That made it worse. And I'm not the fastest reader either. So now I'm reading them. Now I'm reading them worse than I normally read them because now I'm nervous and I'm fumbling through the stuff, right? So one of the tips that I would give you is, am I sharing my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay, great. So one of the tips that I would give you, ladies and gentlemen, is to make sure that you memorize the slides. Even if it's just a couple of bullet points, the slide could have a lot of bullet points and you mention the top 2 or 3. That's okay. Let the audience read the rest, especially if it's a lot of stuff. Or because I practice a presentation ahead of time, I might say, I'm gonna hide this slide ahead of time. You don't want to be in a presentation where you're like thinking, man, I wish I would have hit this slide. I really wish I would have hit this slide, right? No, do it ahead of time. Write this down for your notes. 5 P's. I say this all the time. Proper preparation prevents poor productivity. You need to think of yourself as a professional, as a network marketing professional, as a sales professional. It is my job and my duty to be prepared. What does that entail? Practicing my presentation. If I'm going to present to a customer on this, let me go through the slides. The company has slide decks to present, right? Slide decks, right? Present PowerPoints. Let me go through them as if I'm explaining it to the customer. Those of you guys that are presenting via Zoom on a presentation for any of our services, whether it's solar presentation, home security, whatever the case may be, you should have a recorded presentation of you doing it. Pretend like you're doing it to a customer. Get your spouse, get your wife, get your husband to get on and present to them as if they're your customer. 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor productivity. So the homework is record a presentation of yourself, 5-minute presentation of who you are. Okay. Next tip is memorize the slides of your presentation. The next one is, if you can master a 5-minute presentation, you can master a 20-minute presentation. Once you get a 5-minute presentation down, you can knock out a 20, 30-minute presentation. But it starts with you. Okay, so those are some tips on building your confidence. The next one is this: your story. Here's the parts of building. This is a part of building your confidence. You've got to know your story. Here's the details of your story. In the beginning, very simple. Your name. That's easy. You know your name. Okay. I've seen and I've heard many times that people go up to tell their story or their testimony and their mind sits back down. They don't even remember their own name. Okay. Jim Rohn talks about that as well. Okay. Guess what? That's a lot less likely to happen if you are practicing your story, right? So this is the first, in public speaking, there's the first thing you got to learn: your story, your name, where you're from, what you did before your current business or line of work, and how this business is, how your current career is changing or your life is changing because of it. Okay. So how is your life changing because of your business? Or your name, where you're from, what you currently do, and what my plan is for the future is. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. Hey guys, my name is JC Rangel from Downey, California. I'm currently a security guard in the city of Los Angeles, and my plan is to get started in the solar industry part-time, and my goal is to make this a full-time job in the next 6 to 12 months. Thank you very much. Hey guys, my name is JC Rangel from Downey, California. I'm currently a security officer in the city of Los Angeles, California. And my plan is to start this business on a part-time basis, and in the next 6 to 12 months, make it my full-time business. Thank you very much. So once again, what are the bullet points of your story? Your name, where you are from, what you did before or currently doing, and how this business is positively impacting your life. Or the last one can be, what is your plan for the future with this particular business? all of you, write this down. All of you need to master your story. Matter of fact, here's what I want you to do. This is this is the homework for everybody, in addition to the one I mentioned. Everybody on here, we got 60 people on here, and then all of you guys in the recording. I want to see in our WhatsApp group your story. I want you to put prop a phone up, say my name, where I'm from, what I do, what my current job is, and what my goals are to accomplish with this business. Simple. It's not that hard. You gotta get the ball rolling, because here's the deal. In network marketing, you're going to be saying your story over and over and over. You need to know your story like the back of your hand. You need to know your story, and you're going to say it throughout your whole career. Eventually, it'll change. What I currently do is going to become what I used to do. Does that make sense? Some of you guys currently have a full-time job, whatever that case may be. Eventually, that part of your job will be, I used to be a security guard in the city of Los Angeles, and thanks to my BYLD business, in my first 18 months, I was able to earn enough on a passive residual income basis than what my job used to pay me, and now I get to work from home and spend more time with my children. Do you guys see where I'm coming from with this? Okay? But you got to master. The first thing you got to master, ladies and gentlemen, is your story. I gave you the framework. See, as the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't what? Can't make them drink. I'm leading people to the information. I'm giving you guys homework. What you do with that information is completely up to you. This is a volunteer army business. Okay? But if you want to become a public speaker, a better public speaker, you got to start practicing. And I'm giving you the framework. This is easy. Then the next one you're going to do is a 5-minute intro on yourself. I want you to go 5 minutes, but I want you to record that video as if you're addressing an audience. I want you to put a script, a couple of bullet points about yourself that are interesting, and record a 5-minute script for yourself. And here's what you could do. If you have Gmail, you could open up a YouTube account if you don't already have one. You could upload it to your YouTube account as an unlisted video. As an unlisted video. Nobody on the internet will have access to that video unless they have the direct link that you send them. So they can't search it and find it. You have family members that might have your YouTube channel. They can't find it unless you send them the link. So when you upload it, you could upload it public, unlisted, or private. Private, nobody can see it, even if you send them the link. Unlisted, they could see it if you send them the link, but it cannot be found on YouTube unless they have the direct link. So I want you guys to do that. Those of you guys that really want to become a better public speaker, I want you guys to do that. So let's keep going. How to start your presentation or your speech. Give you a couple bullet points, a couple of good nuggets here. Any good speech should have a hook to grab the audience attention. The hook can be anything from a joke, an interesting fact related to the topic of your speech, a question that matters to the audience, or a good story. Write this down for your notes. Great speakers are great storytellers. Great speakers are great storytellers. Great parents are also great storytellers. I tell my kids stories. I have a thing with my son Maximus. I tell him bedtime stories from the top of the dome, from the brain. As the first words come out, I have no idea what the story is going to be about. And I just elaborate. I just create the story as I'm going. And sometimes I'm like impressed. I'm like, wow, how in the world did I create that story? Almost like a rapper that's freestyling. How did I freestyle that story? But that's a bond that I have with Maximus and that I will have with Alexander as soon as he understands a little bit more. That's one of the ways that I bond, right? And it works my brain, right? But literally, I'll create stories and there's dragons and he's in the story sometimes and stuff. And he saves the day and they live happily ever after. Like, that's how it ends. But it's creative. And Sonic shows up sometimes. A Minecraft character shows up sometimes. This imaginary dragon called Dragonitis and Dragonitis show up. And Maximus always wins. Okay, so... but anyways, I'm teaching him. Some of you guys saw at Mentor Factory. You guys saw my 10-year-old son back then. He was 10. My 10-year-old son gave a speech in front of 100 people at Mentor Factory last year. I'm going to share his speech. It was a Rocky speech. My 10-year-old son gave the Rocky speech in front of all of you at Mentor Factory last year. I'm going to share that speech today after this training. So let's keep going. So the best way to start, as we mentioned, a good story or an interesting fact related to the topic or speech, or a question that matters to the audience. Let me give you an example. A good story. Best for speeches versus presentations. So a good story is best for speeches versus presentations. So for example, one could start with once upon a time. So let's say you're going to talk about a story of whatever the case may be, right? So here's an interesting fact related. The second one is an interesting fact related to the topic of your speech. Did you know that the world's first billionaire was John D. Rockefeller, who made his fortune in the oil industry? Now, adjusted for inflation, his net worth would be equivalent to over $336 billion today. But what's even more remarkable is that he didn't build his business. He didn't just build a business. He built an ecosystem that empowered thousands of people to succeed alongside him. So imagine if I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I'm going to give a training, maybe it's a training or even a speech to entrepreneurs. Maybe I'm doing a training at Mentor Factory or at our convention for you guys. Aren't you a bunch of entrepreneurs? Yes, right? And we do, what do? We empower other people to be successful through our ecosystem that empowers as many people as they can, thousands, hopefully millions. So let's say I get up. Let's say you get up in front of everybody and it's your turn to do a speech or a training for all of BYLD. I want you to imagine yourself, because everything is created twice. Everything is created first in the mind, then in the physical, right? This computer that you are on, this device that you are on, maybe it's an iPad, maybe it's a cell phone, maybe it's a computer. It was first a creation in somebody's mind. Then it became its physical equivalent. Everything is created two times, first in the mind, then the physical. Guess what? The version of yourself making $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $250,000 a year, whatever that number is, that version has to exist in your mind before it exists in the physical. Just like an architect puts it on paper, then it comes to life. Some of you, I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a different subject, but still, some of you need to start envisioning yourself more. Even the good book, the Bible, talks about it. Okay, about the power of goals and writing those goals down and envisioning those things, and how there is life and death. The tongue has the power of life and death. You've got to speak these things into existence. Now, I want you guys to for a second, close your eyes. Everybody, I'm looking at you. Some of you guys got your cameras on and you don't realize I'm looking at you. So close your eyes. And I want you to think of an eagle flying high in the sky. Think of an eagle. Now open your eyes. Did you see the letters EAGLE, or did you see an image of an eagle? So an image, right? We think in pictures, right? So you got to think about these things, you got to envision the person that you want to become. So imagine you are speaking on stage, successful. You are getting recognized. Because champions are not made in the ring. Champions are just recognized in the ring. Champions are made with all of the work that they did leading up to the ring. You go to the convention to get recognized for your efforts. Here, in the day-to-day things, is where we become builders, is where we become executives in our company. This is where we are made. In the conventions, in the events, is where we are recognized. So you are at the convention and your job is to talk about entrepreneurship and the power of building a business. And you start off by saying, soon as you come up, ladies and gentlemen, so-and-so, your name. You come up. You're excited. You're dressed sharp. Gentlemen, you're in a sharp suit. You look clean as a whistle, sharp as a razor. Ladies, you are dressed beautiful. You look more beautiful than you've ever looked in your life. And you are sharp and people are clapping. People are excited. Your team and your family is there. And you start your speech. You start your training. And your topic is to talk about entrepreneurship, business, success, empowering others. And you start off with an interesting fact. Did you know that the world's first billionaire was John D. Rockefeller, who made his fortune in the oil industry? Now, adjusted for inflation, his net worth would be equivalent to over $336 billion today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what's even more remarkable is that he didn't just build a business. He built an ecosystem that empowered thousands of people to succeed alongside him. I want you guys to pay attention to the pauses, to the speed, to the tonality. Sometimes it slows down, sometimes it speeds up to drive a message home, right? To make people interact, to make people wake up, to make people want to listen. I do that on purpose because right here you're learning the importance of an important fact or story, right? But you're also learning, which we're going to talk about, your tonality. We're going to talk about the speed and timing. Since we're talking about speaking, public speaking, but just communication and speaking to other people, whether it's in public or via Zoom, I want you guys to pay attention to the speaker. Not only this speaker today, myself, but whenever